Hello everyone, welcome to our journey through Class 8 NCERT History. Today we start with the chapter 1 How, When, and Where. A chapter that will revolutionize how we think about history for both academic understanding and UPPCS preparation. Now, what was the traditional view of history? For decades, history was seen as a memorizing dates when kings were crowned, battles fought, treaties signed. This made history boring, just a list of dates and names to remember. Now, history is actually about understanding change over time. It's about how people lived, worked, and ate, how cities and markets developed, how ideas and culture spread, comparing past with the present. Now, what is the key insight? Not every historical process has a clear starting date. For example, Indians did not start drinking tea on one specific day, meaning it became popular slowly. British rule did not begin on a single date but evolved over time. So history is not about dates. It was the old view. Now history meaning change over time. It is the new view. What is the UPPCS connection? This shift in historical thinking appear in questions about historiography and historical methodology. Now the next section is the politics of date selection. Now, if the focus of history shifts from the lives of colonial administrator to the experience of Indian people, social movement, economic changes or cultural development, the set of important dates also changes. For example, if you focus on the Indian freedom struggle, dates like 1857, meaning when the revolt happened, 1885, meaning formation of the Indian National Congress, 1999, Jallianwala Bagh, or 1947, independence became central. It will focus on social reform, dates related to the abolition of sati, widow remarriage, and the founding of the Arya Samaj and Brahmo Samaj gain importance. If we study economic history, the introduction of railways, land revenue settlement, or famines might become key marker. So the during the colonial period, British historian in India wrote history with a focus on the succession of governor generals and viceroys. The histories they produced were structured around the lives and policies of these British officials, like Warren Hastings, Dalhousie, Curzon, etc. As a result, the dates that became important were those associated with the tenures and the action of these individuals. This approach ignored the experience, action, and agency of Indians themselves. Now let's compare colonial historical timeline, meaning British timeline, with that of Indian historical timeline. So its main focus was achievement and rule of British officials and event, like I said. And in the Indian historical timeline, the events which affected Indian, these becomes important. Now dates which were important for them, it was arrival of East India Company, Battle of Plassey, 1858, when the British Raj began, and the partition which happened in 1947. But for us, it is formation of INC, Indian National Congress in 1885, non-cooperation movement, Quit India movement, and independence becomes important. For them, for colonial historical timeline, their main key events are like they used to record treaties, establishing provinces, British reform policies like partition of Bengal and of India became important. For Indian perspective, revolt, social reforms, and freedom struggles became important. Now, for social changes, they focused on policies like when the railways were introduced, or when the British passed some law, these became important. And for us, these policies made by British, how they affected us, this become important. So what is the UPPCS previous year connection? Previous year question pattern. The question have come like this, like discuss the limitation of colonial historiography in understanding Indian history. This question has been asked in the mains. So to write a more inclusive and meaningful history of India, it is important to move beyond colonial framework that center only on British administrator. Now it should focus on the experience, struggles and contribution of different groups within Indian society, and it should focus on peasant, worker, women, reformers, nationalists, etc. The important dates in history depend on what story we want to tell. Colonial historians mostly focused on the lives of British officials and ignored the experiences of Indian people. To create a more fair and meaningful history for modern India, we need to focus on Indian society and we need to focus on social movements and changes. This brings new important dates and events into the spotlight. Now, before we answer this, how do we periodize? We should first ask that why it is important to understand periodization. Now, will arise how do we periodize history? Now, historians divide history into periods to make sense of change, but how we divide depends on perspective. Periodization is the way historians split history into different time periods to better understand the past. Each period shows the main social, political, economic, or cultural characteristic of that time. The way we divide history reflects our viewpoint and what we think is important about the past. Now, periodization means dividing history into different time segments to reflect dominant social, political, economic, or cultural trends. James Mill has divided into three parts. First is Hindu period. For him, it was before Muslim rule arrived in India. Now, the next is Muslim period. It started with the Muslim rulers. Now, the third is British period. It began with the British conquest. Now, let's divide the James Mill periodization. Now, first period is Hindu period, and its time frame was from earliest time to the start of Muslim rule. Now, he divided according to the ruler who ruled. Like this time, a Hindu king ruled. That is why he divided into Hindu period. Now, its main feature was there was a dominance of Hindu religion, culture, and society, and it was viewed by Mill as stagnant and backward. For the Muslim period, his time frame was start of Muslim ruler to British conquest. Now, according to him, introduction of Muslim influence started, and this was seen by Mill as a time of turmoil, but some improvement in administration. Now, third is British period. As you know, he was also a British. There must be certain biases. So, according to him, it was a start of British conquest. So, he sees that a period of British colonial rule was a beginning of progress, civilization, and modernization for India. Now, as you saw, Mill's classification was little biased, so there was certain critique of this periodization. So, it was so the British moved away from that classification and they gave another classification like ancient, medieval, and modern. But the term ancient, medieval, and modern reflect European experience. In Europe, the modern period is associated with liberty, equality, democracy, and industrialization. Now, this division can oversimplify the complexity and diversity of Indian history, ignoring regional variation and the continuities across periods. Now, the so-called modern period in India was marked by foreign domination and exploitation, not the progress and the enlightenment seen in Europe. So, the more accurate approach would be to use the term colonial period. Now, the question can be framed like this, like what are the problems with the James Mill periodization of Indian history? So, you can make the table. Periodization is not just about dividing time, but about how we interpret the past. Colonial and religious based periodization, like that of the James Mill, is biased and incomplete. Modern historians prefer terms like colonial period to better reflect the realities of Indian history and avoid Eurocentric or one dimensional views. The way we periodize history shapes our understanding of it, so it must be done thoughtfully and critically. Now, let's compare European and Indian modern period. So, there are certain aspects according to the classification has been done. Now, if we take political structure, in the Europe, nation states were established. It was a time of decline of feudalism, and it was a time of rise of democracy and secularism. Now, if we take this in the Indian context, it was a time of colonial domination, suppression of local rulers, and the nationalist movement had already started. Now, if we take economy, it was a period of capitalism, mercantilism, industrialization, expansion of trade and banking. Now, mercantilism means that nations' wealth and power is best served by increasing transport and trade. Now, if we take it in Indian context, it was marked by colonial exploitation, deindustrialization, and the British were mainly focused on cash crops, and the traditional industries were on decline. Now, if we take society and culture, in the European context, this period was known for humanism, Renaissance, Reformation, and secular values, individualism, and mass literacy. Now, if we take in Indian context, this period was known for composite culture, social reform, and nationalism. Now, if we take science and tech, in Europe, this time printing press were developed, scientific revolution happened, enlightenment and universities were on the rise. Now, if we take in Indian context, some advances happened in math and science, but they were mainly subdued by the colonial policies. Now, what was the sources for modern Indian history? One of the most important sources for historians studying the last 250 years of Indian history is the vast collection of official records produced by the British administration. The British believed that written documentation was essential for effective governance. As a result, every plan, policy decisions, agreement, and investigation were carefully written down. Now, British created an administrative culture that values memos, notings, and detailed report. They insisted that all report document and later be preserved for future reference. To ensure preservation, record rooms were set up in all administrative offices such as village Tehsildar office, collectorate, commissioner's office, provincial secretariat, law courts. Special institutions like archives and museums were also established to store and protect these records. Now, what type of documents were available? Now, letters and memos that moved between branches of administration, notes and reports prepared by district official, instruction and directives sent from higher officials to provincial administrators. Now, in the early 19th century, documents were copied by hand by skilled calligraphists. By the mid 19th century, with the advent of printing, multiple copies of these records were produced and distributed as official proceeding. Historians rely heavily on the official record created by the British administration to reconstruct the history of the last 250 years in India. These records are valuable because they provide detailed, first-hand account of administrative decisions, policy, and daily governance. The systematic preservation of these documents in archives and record rooms has made them accessible for research and study even today. Now let's see what type of surveys were conducted by British. First one is revenue survey. These are among the earliest and most important, aiming to map out villages, parganas, and other administrative units. The British used these surveys to record property holding, assess land revenue, and reorganize territories into well-defined administrative divisions. Next is topographical survey. These survey map the physical feature of the land and including hill, rivers, boundaries, which were crucial for administration and military planning. Now, another one was one great trigonometrical survey which was done in 1802. It was initiated in 1802. This scientific project aimed to map the entire subcontinent with precision, measuring distances and elevation, including the heights of the Himalayas. The GTS was later merged with other survey branches to form the Survey of India, which is in Dehradun. Now, next is census. Census was conducted in 1881. So, starting in the late 19th century, the British conducted decennial census, systematically recording the population, caste, religion, occupation, and other demographic detail across all provinces. Now, another one was specialized survey. It was the colonial administration also carried out botanical, zoological, archaeological, anthropological, and other forest survey to gather information about the natural resources, flora, fauna, and cultural practices of different regions. So, what official record tell us? They tells us the view and priorities of British officials. They tell us that administrative decisions and policies of the British officials. They tell us that what ruler considered important. What they don't tell us is that there are certain biases. like only rulers' viewpoints are noted, not people's. It is selective documentation. Many aspects of Indian life is ignored. Now, there are missing voices also, like peasant, worker, tribals, urban poors are rarely heard. Now, let's do a UPPCS focused recap. Like, what did we read? We read about periodization issue. We read about James Mill's religious bias, problem with ancient medieval modern scheme, need for colonial period terminology. Now we saw what was the colonial impact on polity, economy, and social dimension. Now in prelims question can be asked like this. In prelims question can be asked like this. James Mill divided Indian history into Hindu, Muslim, and British period. Is it true or false? It is a true. Now, British surveys were important for effective administration. Yes, it is also true. Now, for the mains, question can be asked like critical examine the colonial approach to Indian historiography, discuss the limitation of official sources in studying colonial India, like how did colonial survey serve British administrative purpose. Now, if we take now for PCS connection, UP's role in freedom struggle and colonial rent revenue system in UP, survey of India's impact on UP boundaries, and local sources from UP archives. Now let's recall. James Mill divided Indian history into three periods: Hindu, Muslim, Christian. It is wrong because he divided into Hindu, Muslim, and British. Now official document help us understand what the people of the country think. Obviously no, because official records mainly show that British official thought which was important for them, not the views of ordinary Indians. Now third one is the British thought surveys were important for effective administration. It is true. Revenue, topographical, census, botanical, zoological, and other surveys were conducted to strengthen colonial administration. Now the next question is, what is the problem with the periodization of Indian history that James Mill offer? Now the problem with the periodization of Indian history offered by James Mill is primarily that it is overly simplistic, Eurocentric, and misleading. Mill divided Indian history into three major periods based on the religion of the ruler: the Hindu period, the Muslim period, and the British period. This division is problematic for several reasons. Number one, Mill's periodization characterized history by the religion of ruling elites rather than complex social, cultural, and economic realities of the time. This ignores the coexistence of multiple faith and diverse culture during each period. Now it is oversimplified and distorted because this scheme simplifies India's rich and complex history into neat compartment, erasing the continuities, overlap, and regional variations. It distorts history by portraying medieval India, mainly by Muslim period, in opposition to an earlier Hindu period, which indoctrinated communal biases. Now third is Eurocentric and colonial justification. Mill viewed Indian history as backward and uncivilized before British intervention. His periodization served colonial interests by implying that only British rule could bring progress, civilization, and enlightenment to India. This justified colonial conquest and domination as a civilizing mission. Now the fourth is political and communal implication. Now Mill's framework entrenched division that later fueled communalism, suggesting Hindus and Muslims had distinct, disconnected histories and hence conflicting identities. This periodization influenced nationalist as well as colonial narrative, perpetuating divisions. Next is, why did the British preserve official documents? Now British believed in having a permanent and clear written record of every instruction, plan, policy, decisions, agreement, and investigation during their administration. This was considered essential for proper governance and clarity. These documents facilitated future study, research, and debates about policies or administrative issues, making it easier to analyze and understand past decisions. Now they preserved official documents which helped them in maintaining administrative efficiency by allowing instruction and directive from higher officials to be referred to by provincial and local administration at any time. The British valued the act of writing as a key tool for controlling and managing the vast and diverse territories of India systematically and effectively. Now the next is, how did the information historian get from old newspaper be different from that found in police reports? Now, in the newspaper, it covers many topics like events, opinion, culture, and public debate across region. In police report, it was limited to local crime or incident. Now, newspaper was written for the public. It may include opinion and editorial. And the police report were written for officials. It was factual and for law and order issue. Now, in the police report, it reflected government and authority viewpoint. It may hide some detail. Now, in the newspaper, it show biases of journalist and publisher, but can also reveal public dissent. Now, police reports were very detailed, and newspaper were shorter, less detailed, but good for understanding the public mood. In short, newspaper were broader, public focused. It showed opinion and reactions, and police reports, it was narrow, official, and factual account. Both together help historians see the bigger picture. Now, this chapter forms the foundation for understanding colonial critiques. It links to economic history, social reform movements. It is essential for answer writing in mains. Now, think about how UP's history would be different if written from local perspective versus British colonial perspective. If you have any query regarding exam or chapter, you can mail me at csmindmorsels@gmail.com. In the next chapter, we will discuss from trade to territory. The company establishes power. Thank you.